Okay, let's see if this works. It's so hard to film when you're around other people. And I've been on holiday, so I'm just trying to get back into the swing of things, really. Anyway, so today, as you can see by the title, we're talking about stagnation and why that total security equals stagnation. Sorry, there's hornets. Total security is stagnation. Why? Because there's no reason to evolve, there's no reason to grow, there's no reason to move forward. You're comfortable, you're resting. Now, I don't want anybody to think that when I say this, it means that you should always be in a state of movement, grinding, anything of that sort. I think it's important to recognize that there are cycles and stages of life. Ajax! Sorry, my dog. There are cycles and stages of life, and they are to be honored. But sometimes when you've been locked into one phase for a long time, you can find that you don't have the momentum to enter into the new one, particularly after you've come out of a long cycle of chaos or a lot of movement, a lot of catharsis, purging, and fighting and overcoming. There's always going to be a natural period of rest and processing of what just happened. But honestly, even more out of processing, it'll just be rest. You just get to kind of accept and integrate where you're at now and who you've become and where your life has culminated, or how your life has culminated, rather. And that part of the cycle can last a year, it can last a couple of months, but when you're at the next phase and you kind of have to evolve and start movement again, start the new era, learn how to be reborn again, you can almost delay it sometimes because you get very used to being at rest, because you work so hard to get to this point where you could enjoy the fruits of your labor, or you could enjoy the calmness after all of the wars and the battles that you had to go through in the previous era. And so it can be difficult to recognize when it's time for you to get up again and start. There'll be signs, there'll be signs. You might find that your body wants to be out more, that you are craving trying new things and starting new things and meeting new people, or being around people that you may have distanced yourself from at some point. You'll get little inklings, and it might start as something little, like wanting to pick up an interest or a hobby, and the way it feels in your body makes you excited, or you feel the urge. I find that the body has such an intelligence, and I think that sometimes I find that the body's intelligence is more reliable than the mind. Ooh, somebody sneezed. It's more reliable than the mind. And I think the mind is a tool. I don't want to demonize the mind or say that it's useless, because it's incredibly useful, and it obviously came about in our evolution for a reason, and it has helped us. And logic and reason are amazing things, but the body has its own intelligence, it has its own intuition. It tells you what it does like and what it doesn't like, who it wants to be around, what it wants to eat. Sorry, there's flies. And that sort of thing. And it doesn't even speak to you in words. It doesn't reverberate back an image or anything like that the way the mind does. It's just a knowing, it's just a feeling somewhere in you. And I find that to be really, really intelligent and reliable. And I think the more that you hone that skill and you ask your body questions and you say, do you like this thing? Do you want to be around this person? Do you want to eat this thing? Do you want to be at this place? Do you want to try this hobby? How does this feel? And you kind of go about that. It will help you kind of communicate with it and understand that language. And I think that's one of the first signs that you're in a period of rebirth, is your body will wake up in that way, because your body will also tell you when it wants to go to sleep, when it wants rest, when it wants to be on its own or with your close comforting people. But it will also tell you when it wants to be back out in the world and moving and stretching and living and experiencing, and that's when you'll know. So we can work really, really hard to get to a place of security. I know for myself, I've had some hectic years, and I was just praying and wishing and hoping and saying, when is it going to get less hectic? When am I going to be able to like really rest and really feel safe and really feel solid? And finally I got to that point. Sorry if you can hear people, I'm filming near a path back there. Yeah, I was just wishing for peace, for stillness, for security, not just physically but in my body, you know. And it took some time, but when it finally came, I kind of didn't know what to do with it. But then I realized this is an opportunity to rest and to go inward more than I have before, in a way where I'm not called to actively go out into the world and keep fighting, even though I kind of don't want to. And it helped me relax. I lowered my cortisol. It was all these things that kind of happened around the same time. But now I've been thrust into a period of going and doing and being out and about and trying new things and being challenged, but not in the way that I used to, where it was chaotic and essential for me to learn some things in a harsh way in order to really integrate the message. Now it's just an exploration. It's like the Fool card in tarot, like you're new and young and you're having a fun time and everything's exciting and you're wide-eyed. And I've been doing more hobbies, I've been traveling a little bit, I've been meeting new people, making more friendships and deepening some of the friendships that I already have, reuniting with old people, starting a lot of new projects, working more in it, and changing up some of the things that I've been doing in work and things. And that's, to me, how I've noticed that I am entering a new phase, a new cycle. And I realized that I got really comfortable being in a state of rest, and that's not a bad thing because I needed it. But now I need to move, now I need to get up, I need to go, I need to be out there. And all the messages have come, you know, since I started honoring my body and listening to the fact that I wanted to be out in the world and doing things. I get signs all over the place. Opportunities come to me. People ask me to do things with them or for them. You know, I get compensated for it, or I get rewarded in the exchange, whether it fills my heart up. I get to do something creative. I get to connect to somebody. I get to create a thing and put it out there. It just felt like everything opened up tenfold. And I just think it's important to pay attention to the subtleties, and your body is the biggest informer of that. And if you follow that, you will find more comes up to show you you're going in the right way. So just remember that really, really idealizing security and having everything be perfect in there, never being obstacles or conflict, I can understand it's a trauma response, especially if you've been through a lot of turmoil and a lot of horrible things and chaos and change. You just want to rest. Work for that, do that, get to that point and soak it up when you have it, but understand that you will have to get out there again and move and experience new challenges, but likely you'll be stronger and more confident and more trusting of self when you do it. So it will not be the same experience that it was when you were more traumatized and less integrated with your trauma. So I think for me, accepting that and understanding that helped me embrace change and challenge, because I realized it wasn't going to be the same as it used to, and that it's okay to be in different states, especially when you feel less secure. If you're moving around all the time, if you're someone that's a homebody, you're going to have to go through phases where you leave the house, you leave your town, your city, your country, and just enjoy that for where it's at, because you will come back to a state of rest eventually. It's just all part of the cycle. So if you've been finding that you're in a period of rest, you might be getting close. This might be your sign that you're getting close to pop out. So has your body been asking you to do things? You know, have things been coming to you to kind of lull you out of that phase? If so, this might be your sign. So thank you for joining me today. And if you've been feeling this energy or you've experienced this yourself, please let me know your experiences, because I think it can be really difficult for us to accept that cycles happen, even though we know in an intellectual sense or even an experience sense from the past. Sometimes we can get really overwhelmed that we have to continue to live through cycles when some of us might not like change or might not want a particular type of change. But when you just surrender and you embrace it, it flows easier. It does, but it's not always the easiest process, and sometimes it's an ongoing practice. So honor it. But let me know what you think. Have you been through this? Are you going through this? Is this a sign for you? If it is, thank you.